several different iterations of, portions of partnerships, and we've gone into deep dives on them. I wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction for the people who haven't met me before. My name is Sonya Jamula. I have been in some form of partnerships functions for over 18 years, been doing it forever. All kinds of partnerships for the most part in companies all the way from early stage startups to Fortune 200 companies. So I've seen most of it, pretty much all of it. I've experienced some weird stuff. I've experienced some really creative stuff. I like to think of myself as scrappy and creative. So now, most recently, I have joined the ranks of the small business owner and I've started my own company. So I am now consulting, doing advisory work, and also fractional work in partnerships with a lot of with other companies. My focus is on small businesses. So what I am actually doing is not just helping small businesses grow through partnerships, but I'm also advising them now. And I don't advise larger companies. I am not interested in going up market. I, like Carissa, believe helping small businesses helps the economy in ways that nothing else can. And partnerships is the ultimate revenue driver for people. So my goal is really to help people figure out the scrappy, easy ways to do that, and then how to build and scale throughout that. So today, what I was thinking was, at the end of this, I will give out my information, let you guys, you'll have a scheduling link. You'll be able to schedule time with me if you want, to be able to talk through any things you're thinking about, things that you have struggled with. And then if you want to talk about deeper engagements, I'm happy to talk about that as well. Another thing that I'm working on with Carissa and the team is going to be the ability for you guys to schedule time with me on a regular basis through the platform, the Slack platform itself. So there'll lots more to come. Today, what I thought we would do is I just want to go over, it's been some time since we've talked about like the foundation of effective partnerships and what some of the common pitfalls are. I thought I'd start with a bit of a high level overview, and then let's go into what we usually do in the last few sessions, and that is everybody can tell me, you come in, tell me what you're struggling with, what you've been working on, how it's been working for you. I'm dying to hear if Diana's got some really interesting updates, because she's always working on something and it's really interesting most of the time. But I'm really interested to hear, you guys all have really different businesses, where it's working and where it's not working. Even if you have been thinking about it, but you don't know where to start. For those who have been in some of these sessions before, I'm quick on my feet. I like to be creative, and this actually helps me get my creative juices, flowing. So throw me for a loop, see if you can stump me. I'm really excited to do that. So far, nobody has stumped me yet. So you could be the first. So let's get started, if that works for everyone. I'll do the understanding the foundations of effective partnerships first, and then we'll talk a little bit about just the common pitfalls, partnership pitfalls, and just how to fix them. This is going to be very high level. If any of you want to get deeper into any portion of this, just raise your hand, throw it in the chat. I think Gabriel's going to be looking at the chat because I will not really be paying attention until other people are talking. So let's get started. When we talk about partnerships, most people picture, a handshake and maybe co-branded Instagram posts. That's cute, but it's not exactly a revenue engine. What actually makes partnerships work, especially for small businesses, is having a rock solid foundation. Partnership isn't a vibe, it's about clarity. So both sides really need to know why they're partnering, what success looks like. When those two things are fuzzy, everything else gets messy. And we've talked about this in great detail before in previous sessions, and it's important. We talked about writing your goals down, what you want to achieve, making sure that the other party is on the same page as you and has the same goals as you, so that when things go sideways, alignment, you guys are off course on alignment, you can come back to that original conversation. You can reset the partnership in a professional way without having to get into messy conversations, get into legalities and things like that. Alignment is the oxygen of the partnership. You can adore another brand and you can still be a terrible match with that brand. If the customer, the goals, or the incentives don't line up, it's like rowing a boat with mismatched oars. You'll just move, but it's never going to be in the direction that you're trying to move in. And it will start deteriorating the relationship you have with those people, which is really not what you want to do. Once you've destroyed a relationship with a brand, it's really hard to come back from, especially if it's one you admire or is really important to your business. So, yes, even simple partnerships just need things written down. Everybody needs to know what their roles, responsibilities, and timelines are. And if it's not on paper, what I always say is if it's not on paper, it's a suggestion, not a commitment. That's just an opinion and it's just a feeling. If it's on paper, that is a commitment. That's something everybody can point back to. Most importantly, that value that you guys have that you are looking for from that partner, it has to flow both ways. If you can explain in one sentence what you gain and what you give, you don't have a partnership. You have hope, and hope is lovely, but it's not exactly a strategy, and it's never going to drive the revenue that you want. Anybody has any questions on what I've talked about so far? It's high level. I'm hoping it's pretty much a given at this point for those who have been here before. But if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'll address them as I see them. So let's talk about the common partnership pitfalls and how to fix them. Here's like the greatest hits of partnerships mistakes of what I see over and over and over again, and frankly, getting really annoying because some of them are very, very, very self-explanatory. First, choosing the partners because the logo looks shiny. That's my favorite. That's the one I come across the most. Everybody's really excited about this big brand and oh my God, I'm going to tie my name to them. And wow, they answered my email. No, I promise you that your shiny logos aren't going to pay your bills. The fit does. Before you choose to chase a big brand, ask yourself this: can this partner actually move the needle for my customer or my revenue in the next year? If the answer is no, walk away. Walk away with your dignity intact. Walk away with time and your resources, and don't waste them. Because if they can't move the needle, and when I say, can they move the needle for my customer or my revenue, that means, are they providing value for your customer? And then if it's a revenue question, do you guys actually have a plan in place? Can you even think of how it's actually going to tactically work for you to drive revenue through that partner? Or is it just all hypothetical? That's where you have to get to the real nitty gritty and start talking about, like, specifically, if I am partnered, let's say the company I'm working for, I'm doing fractional partnerships for right now, does S Corp management for, it does taxes, filing, and payroll for S Corps, right? Those are single owner companies. If I am like, oh, look, I want to go partner with Silver Linings. This is perfect. There's all these S Corps in Silver Linings customer base. I think this is a great partnership. Great. How are people in Silver Linings customer base going to know about me? How are they going to know that I'm actually what I actually provide? How are they going to know what my charges are? How are they going to know how the whole thing works? I have to think tactically about how I'm actually going to approach these customers, but then I also have to think about, well, what's the value prop for them, but for Silver specifically? What's the value prop for Silver? Why is this going to benefit their customers? What is the value prop that my company is giving them? But also, how are we going to make money off of each other if we are surfacing these up to our existing customer bases? That's what I'm getting at when I say specifically, can this move the needle for my customer or my revenue? The second is the accountability vacuum. When someone says we should partner and suddenly it's a partnership with absolutely no structure, no goals, no owners, no metrics. The fix is simple. You just assign a point person on each side and decide what good looks like. In your guys' case, if you are a one-man show, then you are the point person, but who is the person on the other side who is actually going to execute on the things you guys agree on? Who's the person that can approve all the things? If it's a bigger company, there's going to be bureaucracy in there. Are you talking to the right person? Can they actually commit to the things that they're saying that they're going to? And what is the reaction when you're putting this on paper? Are they actually the people who are going to execute on these plans that you have? You guys, you have to assign a point person on each side, but then you also have to decide what good looks like. Review it monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever the cadence is. You'll be shocked at how many issues disappear once those expectations are explicit. Which then leads us to the third, which is misaligned incentives. One side wants leads, the other side wants content. Both walk away saying, oh, this didn't work for me. This partnership sucked. It didn't work for us. The only fix here is honesty, quite frankly. Again, clarity. Get clear on what each side needs. Negotiate something that supports both. Otherwise, you guys are going to be set up for resentment. There's going to be bad blood between the two of you. But also, like, nobody made any money off this partnership. What was the point of anybody going through all of this whole process and spending all this time and resource to actually create something when you guys were totally off different tangents while you were having that conversation? The fourth, and I think is one of the most important things that I see everywhere, is trying to do everything everywhere all at once. We're all small businesses. We love enthusiasm. Everything is an opportunity. Everything sounds exciting. Yes, of course it is. It's great until you've committed to, if you have a tech platform, for example, you've committed to an integration, or you have an event series, or you're doing a newsletter takeover, or you guys are selling together somehow. Yeah, you've committed to all of these things all before lunch. How are you actually going to do that if you're a one-man show? Let's be realistic. Can you do an event series? Do you have an event person who's going to actually execute all of these things for you? Newsletter takeover. Who's doing the content here? Can you do all of these things all at the same time? Probably not, especially if you are a smaller run organization, which all of us are. So start with the smallest possible experiment that proves value and then earn the right to scale. And I say earn the right to scale, but it's not just you earning the right to scale, it's them also earning the right with you. This is how you can test through and see like how they're actually interacting with you, how they're actually delivering on the value that they proposed. Also, how they're actually treating your customers. This is a very important thing in the mix here. If they are horrible to their customers or they have terrible customer service that was something that you didn't even think to ask before, that reflects poorly on your brand. Now you're going to get customer service issues because they aren't answering. They gave them the wrong information. They misled them. Whatever the situation is, you have to deal with that. And now it's your brand reputation at stake. So start small and build on that small, prove something is worth it, prove that it works, and then make it repeatable. And that is the magic of partnerships. It's called compounding. You want to build something that can be repeatable. And if you start small, you can fix those problems before they become exponentially huge problems. And if you are not doing 15 things at the same time, you could actually get really good at the one or two things that you decided you were going to do. And finally, this ties into what I was talking about earlier, forgetting to talk to your actual customers. Partnership ideas sound brilliant until your customers politely say, like, we don't need that. You thought I needed that. I don't need that. Pressure test everything you're going to do with 3 to 5 real customers that you have. They will save you time, money, and more importantly, heartbreak, but also your brand reputation. 3 to 5 really good customers, very loyal customers. They will feel special that you are asking them their opinion in this way, and you are actually valuing their opinion as part of testing through this partnership. They will love it. They will continue to be loyal, but also you don't do stupid things with this partner that will cause you problems later. So how do you build those scalable revenue partner strategies? How do you make partnerships something that actually scales, generates revenue, and isn't just busy work and isn't just taking up so much time? Because one thing that everybody needs to consider is when you are starting a new partnership, the cycle is really long to actually recognize the revenue. First, you are contacting them, you're trying to get them on the line, or they're trying to get you on the line. Now you're meeting, you're coming up with all these ideas. Great. Now we have to talk about how we're going to actually drive revenue behind it. So now we're negotiating the contract. Now that's going to go on for a little bit because you're going to redline, you're going to be protective of your brand, you're going to be protective of your IP rights, you're going to be protective of what revenue, who's getting what rev shares, their bounty situation, how is it tracked, how is it getting paid out so nobody's confused. This takes time. And then once all of this is done, then you actually have to execute on the actual tactics, and that also takes time. So just think about like it takes time to actually build a really robust partnership. And even if you're testing at a small scale here and there, all the work you put in before that is time and it's money. So we don't want to do more busy work. We want to build the things that scale and generate revenue. So start with the customer demand, not what the partner desire. So your best partnerships will always solve a clear customer pain point or build extra value to them. So when a customer genuinely benefits, the distribution becomes easier. And that's when you see the compounding results because now you found like this magical value add for your customer and it's solving a problem for them that they can't do without. And now not only are you the superstar who has solved this problem for them, but also you can start using that to actually compound who talks about the solution and how they talk about it and use these customer stories these customer success stories as advertising now. So now you're actually reutilizing those tactics in ways that will drive revenue. Next, I would say think in tiers. Not every partner deserves the white glove treatment. Low touch partners might get referral links or basic, what we call co-marketing. That just means you're throwing a link on their website, you're in their marketplace, they're advertising your partnership here or there, somebody's clicking back and forth, and you are generating leads into whatever lead mechanism you have. So for example, your website, or you got sales coming in through the website, but that's very low touch. You just had to give them a referral link. You just had to give them some mechanism to send you the leads. You're not actually doing any work in there. A mid-touch partner might get a joint offer or a bundle. If you are doing this technically on the back end on a website, like it takes resources and dev work to actually build an offer or a bundle that's joint with another company. That's going to take a little bit of time to do, but mid-touch, because once you've done it, it's a rinse and repeat thing and it can always be used over and over and over again. High touch partners would get something like, if you were a tech platform, a deep integration, there's a tech part of it, development that goes into it, or you're co-selling with them, or you're going to events with them, things like that, and you're co-branding yourself with them, that would be a high touch partner. If you tier them out this way, it's easier for you to understand when you go from like, I have 2 partners to I have 15 partners, to put them into these buckets. Okay, it's really easy for me to get these referral links out. I could do 20 of these partners and manage them very easily through a programmatic way. But if I have a bunch of high touch partners, how am I going to manage that if I'm like one person or even 2 or 3 people? It's going to be hard to manage even just the communication between them to make sure you're always communicating and everybody's always on the same page. That stops you from this tiering. It stops you from pouring all your time into relationships that don't warrant it. It forces you to pour time into the ones that where it makes sense and where your revenue is coming from. Then you build the repeatable motions. If your partnership only works when you personally babysit every step, it's never going to scale. Create templates, create playbooks, standardize what you can. And everybody feels like this sounds really, really technical, or, oh, this is a bigger company model of how you build playbooks and how you create templates. No, ChatGPT can do that for you. If you have a standardized rev share, for example, for all your referral partners, great. Now I can build a standardized agreement that has all the same things that I am going to insist on how my brand is being used. It's going to be all the same tracking mechanisms because you're doing the same thing with all those same partners. That's a template. That's a playbook. You can standardize that quite easily. The things you can't standardize are going to be the high touch, but that's not where you want to standardize either. And then follow the money. Partnerships should tie back to something measurable. Are you getting leads, which is distribution? Are you tracking conversion? Are you in some marketplaces with, say, 4 companies, but you're getting leads from one company that are actually converting to customers better than other ones? That's something to look at. Why is that? Is the messaging wrong? Are they surfacing you up in the wrong place? Are they talking about you incorrectly? Are they misleading your customers? Do you need to change the messaging? All of this stuff is easily fixable as long as you can tie it to something that's measurable. So other things you should look at if you have things like subscriptions that you sell, like to programs. Do you have higher retention rates with through some partners? These are things that can come in really handy. Retention is really important, and I think it's something that people often forget because you're going out, always going after new customers. This isn't going to be as relevant for somebody who has like a physical product that they're selling or a consumer product that they're selling. But if you sell memberships or if you sell subscriptions or newsletters and things like that, keeping your customers is very important because it costs less to serve them than it does to acquire a new customer. And so partners can also do that for you. Partners can create stickier customers and repeat customers in a way that nothing else can, because you have such a deep value add with them that it's almost a given that your brand is tied to that brand. And if it is like something that is just it's such a complementary product, even better. You will always have that repeat customer, or they will just stay on your product. Finally, measure early and adjust often. You don't need 47 tabs of tracking mechanisms. Just track 3 things. Did both sides do the work? Did the customers engage? Did revenue move? If the first 2 didn't happen, the third won't either. So adjust quickly. It's what I said, and keep the flywheel turning. Adjust quickly. Maybe I have the wrong message. Maybe people are not understanding what I'm saying. Maybe I left out some information. There's so many things that you can track and that you can fix in a partnership in a lightweight way that isn't that complicated and will exponentially move the needle. So this is like a very high level way of thinking about the core framework. Partnerships aren't magic, they're discipline, alignment, healthy dose of experimentation, which is the fun part. And when you approach them with like structure and honesty and clarity, they can become one of the most efficient growth engines that you can possibly build. Because think about it, your direct acquisition through advertising, through media, it's a one-to-one. I put in X dollars, I'm getting X customer back. I know how much it costs to acquire the customer. Partnerships are a one-to-many motion. That's what we call it, a one-to-many motion, which means you do one activity and you get multiple customers back. There's nothing more efficient than that when you think about it. And so it's just a matter of doing it correctly, and it's a matter of not stepping in messes that could be easily avoided. And those things it's just discipline, honestly. And it's just being smart and thinking 10 steps ahead and anticipating what is going to happen. Sometimes you can't anticipate what's going to happen. It's okay. That's how you learn and you move forward. But you can protect yourself if you're doing this in an incremental way and you're not trying to jump in head first and do everything with partners that you've never tested anything with. By all means, if it is successful, go 30 steps ahead and try and do whatever you can with this partner, but not before you've proven it out. That's kind of the crux of what I'm trying to explain in how to do it efficiently. I want to stop here, and I want to open the floor up for people to ask questions, talk through some of the things you've been thinking about. Maybe you have been contemplating partnerships and just don't know where to start. Anything is up for discussion.